Did you know that Americans lose over $3 billion to online scams every single year? That's right, 3 billion. And while some of these schemes are your run-of-the-mill phishing emails or fake lottery wins, others are so bizarre, so utterly outlandish, that you'll struggle to believe they actually work. Welcome to the wild world of internet fraud, where creativity, or maybe desperation, knows no bounds. Today, we're diving into the 33 weirdest American online scams, the kind that'll make you laugh, cringe, and maybe even double-check your own inbox. Picture this: someone once convinced hundreds of people to pay for a cloud storage service that was literally just a screenshot of a cloud, not a digital storage solution, an actual cloud floating in the sky. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. From fake millionaire pets to time-traveling investment schemes, the lengths people will go to swindle others online are as shocking as they are absurd. These scams don't just prey on gullibility, they exploit hope, curiosity, and sometimes even kindness, weaving tales so elaborate you almost want to applaud the effort before remembering, oh yeah, this is illegal. But here's the thing: these stories aren't just entertaining, they're a masterclass in how not to get duped. By the time we're done, you'll spot red flags from a mile away, and who knows, maybe you'll even walk away with a newfound appreciation for the sheer audacity of human ingenuity, even when it's used for all the wrong reasons. So buckle up, because we're about to take a ride through the most ridiculous, jaw-dropping, and downright surreal online scams America has ever seen. Trust us, you won't want to miss a single one. Of all the online scams in history, few are as infamous or as stubbornly persistent as the Nigerian prince email. You've probably seen it: a desperate plea from a wealthy foreign dignitary, usually a prince or government official, who needs your help transferring millions of dollars out of their country. In exchange for a small upfront fee, they promise you a life-changing cut of the fortune. The only catch: there is no fortune, no prince, and anyone who falls for it doesn't just lose that small fee. They often get sucked into a spiral of escalating demands, draining their bank accounts dry. So how did this absurd scheme become the blueprint for internet fraud? The scam actually dates back to the 1980s, long before email, as the Spanish prisoner con, a snail mail version where victims were told a fictional aristocrat needed funds to escape captivity. But when the internet took off, fraudsters realized they could automate the scam, blasting it to millions of people at once. And here's the wild part: the clumsiness of these emails is deliberate. Typos, melodramatic language, and over-the-top stories act as a filter, weeding out skeptical people early so only the most gullible targets respond. Over the years, the scam has evolved in bizarre ways. Some versions feature war refugees, stranded oil heirs, or even astronauts stuck on the International Space Station. But the core remains the same: exploiting hope and greed. Even today, when most of us recognize these emails as laughably fake, they still rake in millions annually. Why? Because for every 1,000 people who delete them, there's one who thinks, what if it's real? And that's all a scammer needs. The lesson here isn't just about ignoring sketchy emails. It's about recognizing how easily we can convince ourselves that too good to be true opportunities might just be true enough. Imagine getting a phone call that sends chills down your spine. A stern voice claiming to be from the IRS, insisting you owe thousands in back taxes, and threatening to send armed agents to your door within hours if you don't pay immediately. This isn't just intimidation, it's one of the most ruthless and widespread scams in America. The fake IRS call scam preys on fear, pressuring victims into wiring money or buying prepaid gift cards before they even have time to think. The script is always the same. Scammers spoof official IRS phone numbers, recite fake badge ID, and even reference real tax forms to sound legitimate. They'll shout, demand secrecy, and warn that any delay means jail time. And it works. Thousands of people panic and pay up, one retired teacher in Florida lost $20,000 after being told her Social Security would be frozen. A small business owner in Texas drained his savings account, terrified of losing his livelihood. These stories aren't rare. The IRS estimates victims have handed over tens of millions to these criminals over the years. But here's what they don't want you to know. The real IRS never calls out of the blue demanding immediate payment. They don't threaten arrest, and they certainly don't ask for iTunes gift cards. The second someone demands payment in untraceable ways, wire transfers, cryptocurrency, or prepaid cards, it's a scam. Another red flag: aggressive urgency. Legitimate agencies give you time to appeal or verify claims. The worst part, many of these calls originate from overseas call centers, making it nearly impossible to track the culprits. Some even double down by following up with fake case numbers or spoofed emails pretending to be from IRS, Gov, but knowledge is your best defense. Hang up, verify any claims independently, and report the attempt. Because no matter how convincing the threat sounds, the only thing you're really at risk of losing is your hard-earned money to a liar on the other end of the line. You're working on your laptop when suddenly a pop-up appears bright red, flashing urgently, warning that your computer is infected with a critical virus. A toll-free number appears below, urging you to call Microsoft or Apple support immediately before your files are erased. Your heart races, but here's the truth: that pop-up didn't come from your computer. It came from a scammer halfway around the world waiting to exploit your panic. This is the tech support scam, a ruthless con that's tricked everyone from college students to corporate executives into handing over thousands for fake repairs. The playbook is disturbingly effective. Scammers hijack legitimate-looking caller ID or flood websites with fake virus alerts. Once you call, they'll guide you through seemingly official steps, like opening your system's event viewer to prove your device is compromised. Of course, those logs are normal, but they'll insist the gibberish you're seeing is evidence of a hacker's footprint. Then comes the pitch: pay hundreds for antivirus software you don't need, or grant remote access so they can fix it. That's when the real damage happens. Some install actual malware to steal passwords. Others lock files and demand ransom. One woman in Ohio lost $30,000 after scammers convinced her they'd accidentally refunded her too much and needed her to return the extra. Why does this work so well? Because it weaponizes our trust in big tech. The fraudsters drop names like Windows Support or Mac Security Team, mimicking corporate jargon. They'll even spoof legitimate customer service numbers, and they target the most vulnerable: seniors unfamiliar with technology or small businesses terrified of losing data. But here's the giveaway: no reputable company proactively contacts you about viruses. Microsoft isn't monitoring your laptop from a call center in India. And no technician will ever demand payment via gift cards or wire transfer. The fallout goes beyond money. Victims often feel deep shame, delaying reports. One man in Florida was so embarrassed after falling for the scam that he didn't tell his family until his bank account was emptied. That's what makes these cons so vile. They don't just take cash, they prey on dignity. So next time a pop-up or caller claims your device is at risk, take a breath, shut down the browser, hang up, and remember, real tech support waits for you to reach out first. Your phone rings late at night. On the other end, a voice sobbing, "Grandma, it's me, I'm in serious trouble." Within seconds, your heart drops. They sound just like your grandchild, panicked, desperate, explaining they've been arrested after a car accident and need bail money wired immediately to avoid jail. You rush to help, wiring thousands before realizing the horrifying truth: that wasn't your grandkid at all. You've just become another victim of the grandparent scam, one of the cruelest cons preying on love and fear. This scam thrives on emotional warfare. Criminals spend hours researching family details from social media, obituaries, or data breaches to make their impersonation chillingly accurate. They'll know your grandchild's name, hometown, even mimic their speech patterns. Then comes the carefully crafted crisis, a fake arrest, a fabricated hospital bill, or a staged kidnapping. The demand is always urgent. Please don't tell mom and dad, I'm so embarrassed, playing on both protectiveness and secrecy. One couple in Arizona mortgaged their home after sending $90,000 to save their grandson from a Mexican jail, only to learn he'd been at college the whole time. What makes this scam devastating isn't just the financial loss, it's the psychological toll. Seniors, often isolated or technologically unfamiliar, are primary targets. The shame of being duped silences many victims. Others blame themselves for not recognizing the ruse sooner. Law enforcement reports cases where victims suffered heart attacks from the stress. And scammers are ruthless. Even after draining one account, they'll call back pretending to be a lawyer or bail bondsman, squeezing every last dollar from their prey. The red flags: any request for money via wire transfer, gift cards, or cryptocurrency should set off alarms. Real emergencies don't require secrecy from other family members. And no legitimate authority, police, hospitals, or courts demands payment through untraceable methods. Experts advise a simple verification step: hang up and call the grandchild's known number directly. But in that moment of panic, even the savviest people can freeze. Perhaps the most sinister twist: these scams often originate from prison inmates using smuggled cell phones or overseas call centers with sophisticated voice-changing software. They treat it like a numbers game. For every 100 calls, a handful of terrified grandparents will pay. And with AI voice cloning technology advancing, the scams are becoming indistinguishable from reality. One widow in Florida recognized the scam only because her grandson asked for money on a date. He was actually visiting her, eating lunch at her kitchen table while the imposter begged for help on the phone. Protecting yourself starts with awareness. Share these tactics with older family members. Establish a family code word for emergencies. And remember, love shouldn't come with a price tag. If someone you care about is truly in trouble, they'll find a way to reach you through proper channels, not through a frantic call demanding cash in the dead of night. He swiped right with a charming smile. Athletic, well-dressed, with a bio claiming he was a deployed soldier or maybe a doctor on a humanitarian mission. The messages started pouring in: sweet nothings, shared dreams, even poetic declarations of love within weeks. But behind that perfect profile wasn't a soulmate. It was a predator playing the long game. This is the romance scam, a billion-dollar con that exploits loneliness and hope, leaving victims financially ruined and emotionally shattered. These scams are disturbingly sophisticated. Catfishers steal photos from real people, often models or military personnel, crafting elaborate backstories. They'll spend months building trust, sending flowers, even fake plane tickets to visit soon. Then comes the crisis: a medical emergency, a stolen wallet, or a sudden visa fee to finally meet in person. One widow in California sent $250,000 to a man she'd never met, convinced he was a British engineer trapped in Nigeria after a work accident. Another victim sold her home to fund life-saving surgery for her online fiancé, only to discover his hospital photos were stolen from a medical blog. What makes these scams so devastating is the psychological manipulation. Scammers study their targets, mirroring desires and exploiting vulnerabilities. They'll gaslight victims who get suspicious, accusing them of not trusting true love. Many targets are divorced, widowed, or isolated people craving connection. One FBI agent recalled a case where a victim continued sending money even after realizing it was a scam, because the emotional bond felt too real to abandon. The red flags: beware of anyone who falls in love unusually fast or avoids video calls with excuses like bad internet. Be skeptical of sob stories requesting wire transfers or gift cards. And never send money to someone you haven't met in person, no matter how convincing their crisis seems. But here's the cruel twist: even when victims realize they've been duped, the shame keeps many silent. Romance scam losses exceed $1 billion annually, yet experts believe most cases go unreported. These fraudsters don't just steal cash, they weaponize human connection, turning love into a transaction. So next time a match seems too good to be true, remember, real relationships aren't measured in emergency wire transfers, but in time, patience, and trust earned face to face. The email arrives like a bolt of lightning. Congratulations, you've won a multi-million-dollar lottery. There's just one catch: you've never actually bought a ticket. That's the hook of the fake lottery scam, where sheer luck suddenly lands in your inbox, but collecting your windfall requires wiring hundreds or thousands in processing fees or taxes first. And by the time victims realize they've been played, the scammers and their money are long gone. This scheme preys on two powerful emotions: greed and urgency. The message is always time-sensitive, warning that if you don't act fast, your prize will go to another lucky winner. Some versions impersonate real sweepstakes like Publishers Clearing House, complete with forged logos and fake celebrity endorsements. Others invent lavish prizes: private jets, tropical villas, even yachts to stoke excitement. One retired trucker in Missouri remortgaged his house after sending $35,000 to cover international transfer fees for a Spanish lottery he'd supposedly won. The fine print: the scammer had emailed him a doctored newspaper clipping proving his win, complete with his name in bold print. Here's how the grift works: after the initial fees, new demands keep coming. Suddenly, there's a currency conversion charge, then a legal clearance fee, then a charity donation requirement to comply with foreign laws. Victims often bleed cash for months, convinced the next payment will unlock their jackpot. In reality, legitimate lotteries never ask winners to pay upfront. Taxes are deducted from the prize itself, not demanded via Western Union, and no sweepstakes company contacts winners out of the blue, especially not through erratic Gmail addresses or WhatsApp messages signed Lottery Board Director. The psychological trap: once someone invests that first payment, admitting it's a scam feels like admitting foolishness. Scammers exploit this sunk cost fallacy mercilessly. One woman in Florida kept sending money for 2 years, convinced her $12 million prize was held up in bureaucracy, until her daughter intervened. Worst of all, these scams disproportionately target the elderly, many of whom grew up trusting official-looking letters. Modern versions have evolved to include fake check schemes, where victims deposit a partial prize advance that later bounces, or even in-person pickups by actors posing as prize couriers. The takeaway: if you didn't buy a ticket, you didn't win. And if a stranger asks for money to give you money, that's not luck, it's theft dressed up as generosity. The silver lining: awareness is spreading. Law enforcement now works with postal services to intercept fake prize notifications, and banks train staff to spot victims wiring money to suspicious offshore accounts. But with new variations popping up weekly, the best defense remains skepticism. After all, the only real winner in this game is the scammer, and they're counting on your hope to keep their scheme afloat. The phone rings and the caller ID shows an unknown number. You pick up and an aggressive voice barks, "This is your final notice. Pay your outstanding debt immediately, or we'll send law enforcement to your home within the hour." Your stomach drops. You don't remember owing anything, but the details sound scarily accurate: your name, address, even the last 4 digits of your social security number. This isn't a mistake, it's the phantom debt collection scam, a ruthless scheme where fraudsters invent debts out of thin air, then use fear and intimidation to bully victims into paying up. These scammers operate like psychological terrorists. They'll claim you owe thousands for a payday loan you never took out, a medical bill from a hospital you've never visited, or even a forgotten utility bill from a state you've never lived in. The tactics are straight out of a mob movie. Threats of arrest, wage garnishment, or even child custody loss if you don't pay today, right now, via wire transfer or prepaid gift cards. One single mother in Georgia emptied her savings account after a caller impersonating a court officer threatened to suspend her driver's license over a fake student loan debt. A retired veteran in Texas paid $3,000 to stop immediate legal action for a fabricated credit card balance. How do they get away with it? First, they buy stolen personal data from dark web marketplaces or previous breaches. Then, they weaponize bureaucracy, mimicking real collection agencies down to spoofed phone numbers and official-sounding case ID. Some even send fake court summons via email or text, complete with watermarked logos. The goal: create enough panic to override logic, because when someone's screaming about jail time or credit ruin, rational questions like, wait, what's the original creditor? Or can I see documentation often get drowned out. Here's the truth: legitimate debt collectors are bound by strict laws. They must send written notices, disclose your rights, and never threaten arrest for unpaid bills. Real collections also appear on your credit report. If it's not there, it's fiction. And no genuine agency will demand payment via untraceable methods like gift cards or cryptocurrency. The fallout goes beyond money. Victims report sleepless nights, strained relationships, and lingering anxiety even after realizing it's a scam. One teacher in Ohio admitted she stopped answering her phone entirely for months, terrified of another confrontation. That's the insidious power of these cons. They don't just steal cash, they hijack peace of mind. Protecting yourself starts with a simple rule: never pay or confirm personal details over an unsolicited call. Demand written validation of the debt. Scammers can't provide it. Hang up and contact the supposed creditor directly using verified contact info from their official website. And remember, urgency is a scammer's best friend. Real collectors give you time to verify. Predators push for instant payment because their lies crumble under scrutiny. The silver lining: authorities are cracking down. The FTC has shut down massive phantom debt operations, some run by actual former collection agents who knew how to exploit the system. But with new scams popping up daily, your best shield is skepticism. Because in this game, the only real debt you risk owing is the one these criminals try to force onto you. When disaster strikes, wildfires, hurricanes, mass shootings, humanity's first instinct is to help. But lurking in the shadows of tragedy are predators waiting to cash in on your compassion. The fake charity scam is one of the most morally bankrupt cons out there, where criminals fabricate heart-wrenching stories to divert donations meant for victims into their own pockets. These scams surge after every major crisis, preying on our deepest impulses to do good. Picture this: after a devastating tornado levels a small town, your social media floods with posts from the Midwest Tornado Relief Fund featuring photos of crying children. The donation link looks legitimate, even using a name similar to real organizations. Within days, thousands give, until someone notices the charity was registered just hours after the disaster, and the heartbreaking images were stolen from news reports. By then, the website vanishes along with every dollar. These fraudsters are masters of emotional manipulation. Some impersonate real charities by altering a single letter in their name. Think Red Crows instead of Red Cross. Others create entirely fake entities with professional-looking websites and fabricated tax ID numbers. After the 2017 Las Vegas shooting, scammers set up over 100 fake GoFundMe campaigns, siphoning donations meant for victims' families. One especially vile twist targeting specific communities affected by tragedy. After a synagogue shooting, fraudsters posed as rabbis collecting for victims' funerals, except the money went to offshore accounts. The psychological play here is brutal. They know few people vet charities in moments of urgency. When emotions run high, we skip due diligence. That's why these scams often use time-sensitive hooks like "donate now, we're airlifting supplies tomorrow." One retired nurse in Florida lost $4,000 to a fake Puerto Rico hurricane relief fund because the caller swore children were dying without immediate medicine shipments. Spotting these scams requires cool-headed skepticism. Always verify charities through official databases like Charity Navigator or the BBB's Wise Giving Alliance. Beware of high-pressure tactics. Real nonprofits give you time to research. And never donate via wire transfer or gift cards. Legitimate organizations accept checks or secure online payments. Perhaps the cruelest irony, many fake charity scammers reinvest their profits into more scams, meaning your donation to Save Orphan Puppies might fund the next phishing operation. These aren't just thieves, they're emotional vampires, turning human suffering into a business model. So while the world will always need helpers, remember, true charity doesn't demand your wallet before your wisdom. You're scrolling through rental listings, dreaming of that perfect apartment, spacious, modern, and suspiciously affordable. The photos show gleaming hardwood floors and a skyline view, and the landlord promises a quick move in. All they need is a security deposit wired upfront to hold the place. Sounds like a steal, right? That's exactly what the scammer wants you to think. Welcome to the rental scam, where con artists turn the stressful hunt for housing into a nightmare of stolen savings and phantom properties. Here's how it works. Scammers hijack legitimate real estate listings, copying photos and descriptions, then repost them on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, or even fake property management sites at unbelievably low prices. They'll invent reasons why they can't meet in person, claiming to be out of the country, serving in the military, or dealing with a family emergency. But they're happy to mail you the keys as soon as you send the deposit. One college student in Chicago lost $2,000 on a downtown condo that turned out to be an Airbnb listed without the owner's knowledge. Another family showed up to move into their new home, only to find the real owner baffled and their life savings gone. The scam thrives on urgency and scarcity. Listings often include phrases like "must rent today, dozens of applicants," to pressure victims into skipping basic checks. Some fraudsters go further, forging leases and even setting up fake video tours using pre-recorded footage. A particularly cruel variation targets immigrants or low-income renters, offering no credit check, deals that seem like lifelines until the money vanishes and the landlord disconnects their burner phone. Spotting these scams requires a keen eye. Reverse image search listing photos to see if they're stolen from other ads. Never wire money before seeing the property in person or verifying ownership through county records. And if the deal feels too good to be true, it's not a bargain, it's bait. What makes this scam especially vile is the collateral damage. Victims aren't just out money, they're often left homeless, their trust shattered. One couple in Florida slept in their car for weeks after falling for a fake rental. Their hope as drained as their bank account. But here's the good news, awareness is growing. Platforms like Zillow now flag duplicate listings, and tenant advocacy groups publish red flag guides. The key lesson: in the rental market, caution isn't just wise, it's the only way to keep the roof over your head from turning into a house of cards. You're browsing pet adoption sites when you spot the perfect puppy, fluffy, bright-eyed, and listed at half the price of nearby breeders. The seller responds immediately, gushing about the dog's sweet temperament and sending videos of it playing. They just need a deposit to hold her since other families are interested. You pay, thrilled, until communication stops. The address they gave leads to an empty lot. And the puppy, it never existed. Welcome to the puppy scam, where emotional manipulation meets outright theft, leaving heartbroken animal lovers both financially empty-handed and devastated by the loss of a pet they thought they'd soon cuddle. This scam is as cruel as it is simple. Fraudsters trawl classified sites, social media, and even create fake breeder websites stocked with stolen photos of adorable dogs, often lifted from legitimate kennel pages or Instagram accounts. They'll fabricate elaborate backstories: a military family forced to rehome due to deployment, a widow unable to care for her late husband's pets, or a small-time breeder offering rare breeds like French bulldogs or cavapoos at bargain prices. The hook: urgency. Messages emphasize how many other buyers are lined up, pressuring victims to wire money or send gift cards before meeting the animal. One couple in Oregon paid $1,200 for a teacup golden retriever that turned out to be a photoshopped image from a stock photo site. Another victim flew cross-country to pick up her new Labradoodle, only to discover the address was a pet supply store. What makes these scams cut deeper than most is the double loss. Beyond the money, which can range from a few hundred to several $1,000s, victims mourn the imaginary bond they'd already formed. Scammers exploit this by sending fake vet records, personalized collar photos, even pre-recorded puppy noises during calls. One woman in Texas received daily pup-date videos for weeks before the seller ghosted her, leaving her grieving a dog that was never hers. The red flags: beware sellers who refuse video calls or in-person meetups, citing excuses like the puppies are too young to visit. Be skeptical of prices far below market rate. No reputable breeder sells a $3,000 Bernedoodle for $400. And never pay via irreversible methods like Zelle or Cash App. Legitimate rescues and breeders will allow you to visit, meet the parents, and provide paperwork without pressure. Perhaps the most sinister twist: some scammers take it further by demanding additional payments for shipping, insurance, customs fees, or last-minute vet bills, squeezing victims for even more cash. Others sell sick or stolen pets, passing off puppy mill dogs as healthy. The emotional toll is staggering. Many victims report lingering trust issues, hesitant to adopt even through legitimate channels later. Authorities are fighting back. The FTC now issues warnings during peak scam seasons like Christmas, and platforms like Craigslist flag posts with phrases like rehoming fee. But with new fake breeder websites popping up daily, the best defense is old-fashioned caution. Insist on seeing the puppy interact with its mother in person. Research the breed's actual market value, and remember, if a deal feels too heartwarming to be true, it might just be breaking yours. The email hits your inbox with the subject line screaming, "Hiring now, remote data entry, $75/hour." And your pulse quickens. Who wouldn't want a flexible, high-paying job with no experience required? But before you reply with your resume, take a closer look, because this opportunity might just be a trap. The fake job offer scam is a ruthless scheme that preys on job seekers' desperation, luring them in with promises of easy money, only to vanish with their savings, or worse, their identity. Scammers post these too good to be true listings everywhere: LinkedIn, Indeed, even Craigslist. The roles range from mystery shoppers and virtual assistants to government grant processors, all with one thing in common: they demand money upfront. Sometimes it's for equipment fees or training materials. Other times they'll ask for your social security number and bank details to process payroll, then drain your accounts. One recent grad in Colorado wired $800 for a work-from-home starter kit that never arrived, only to realize the company's website was a carbon copy of a legit business, with one letter swapped in the URL. A single mom in Michigan gave her personal info for a benefits package, then spent months untangling fraudulent credit cards opened in her name. The psychology here is brutal. These fraudsters exploit the vulnerability of unemployment, targeting people when they're most likely to ignore red flags. They'll mimic real hiring processes, sending fake offer letters with corporate logos or conducting interviews over WhatsApp. Some even create entire fake teams on Slack or Microsoft Teams to seem legitimate. The moment you question things, they gaslight you. Don't you want this career opportunity? Spotting these scams requires skepticism. Legitimate employers never ask for payment to hire you. They won't conduct interviews exclusively via text or demand sensitive info before onboarding. And that vague job description listing no skills needed for six-figure pay, that's not a golden ticket, it's phishing bait. The fallout is devastating. Beyond stolen money, victims deal with identity theft, ruined credit, and shattered confidence. One teacher scammed while job hunting during a strike later admitted, "I felt so stupid. I just wanted to provide for my family." That's the real cruelty here, turning hope into a weapon. So before you click apply, remember, if a job sounds like a fantasy, it's probably a fraudster's script. It starts with a DM from a stranger or maybe an ad featuring a famous face you recognize. The pitch is irresistible. Turn $500 into $50,000 in just weeks with this revolutionary crypto trading bot. The screenshots show skyrocketing graphs and testimonials swear it's foolproof. But behind those guarantees lies a trap designed to vanish your savings into the digital void. This is the cryptocurrency investment scam, where slick websites and fake influencers promise life-changing wealth while delivering nothing but empty wallets and broken trust. Crypto scams come wrapped in glittering deception. Some pose as celebrity-endorsed platforms, using deepfake videos of Elon Musk or fabricated tweets from Warren Buffett to appear legitimate. Others impersonate established exchanges with URLs like Binance Support, Net, or Coinbase Pro Trade, tricking users into depositing funds that instantly disappear. One particularly brazen scheme cloned the entire website of a real crypto project, down to the team bios and white paper, except the Invest Now button routed payments straight to scammers in Eastern Europe. A retired firefighter in Arizona lost his entire pension after investing in a fake mining operation that promised daily payouts. For 3 weeks, his account balance on their flashy portal showed exponential growth. Then the site vanished overnight along with his $80,000. The psychological hook here is primal: fear of missing out. Scammers exploit the hype around cryptocurrency, convincing targets they're getting in early on the next Bitcoin. They'll flood social media with bot-generated comments like, "I tripled my savings," or host fake webinars with traders live streaming from what's actually a stock footage loop. One victim in Florida mortgaged her home to invest after seeing a doctored CNBC segment featuring her financial advisor, who turned out to be a paid actor reading from a script. Spotting these scams requires cold, hard skepticism. No legitimate investment guarantees returns, especially not in volatile crypto markets. If someone pressures you to act immediately with phrases like "limited time opportunity," assume it's a con. Always verify URLs letter by letter. Scammers love substituting characters like Coinbase with Coinbase and that trading bot that never loses. It's usually just a random number generator disguised as a dashboard. The cruel twist: many victims blame themselves, believing they just misunderstood the risks rather than admitting they were played. Crypto's complexity becomes the scammer's shield. They'll drown you in jargon about blockchain arbitrage or DeFi yield farming to obscure the theft. But here's the truth: real investing doesn't demand secrecy, urgency, or blind faith in an anonymous Telegram admin. Law enforcement struggles to trace these schemes across borders, leaving few avenues for recovery. Yet awareness is spreading. Celebrities now publicly denounce fake endorsements, and regulators crack down on fraudulent ICOs. The ultimate defense, remembering that if an investment sounds like a magic trick, the only disappearing act will be your money. You log into Facebook and see a message from your cousin. "Hey, I'm stuck overseas. My wallet got stolen and I need money for a flight home." They sound frantic and the profile picture looks right. But before you rush to Venmo them, stop. That might not be your cousin at all. It could be a scammer who cloned their entire online identity, down to the vacation photos they posted last week. This is the social media impersonation scam, where fraudsters hijack trust to turn your kindness into cash. These scams start with stolen or scraped data. Maybe your real cousin commented on a public post, or their privacy settings were lax. Scammers copy their name, photos, even their writing style from old posts to build a near-perfect replica account. Then comes the emergency plea stranded abroad, locked out of their bank, or needing bail money fast. The fake profile tags mutual friends to seem legitimate, creating a web of believable connections. One woman in Seattle wired $3,000 to her niece for a supposed hospital bill, only to learn the real niece was at work. Her account had been duplicated down to the pet photos. The most devious part, these scams often target older relatives who aren't tech-savvy. They'll exploit generational gaps, like assuming grandparents won't notice the account was created 3 days ago. Some scammers even hack real accounts temporarily, messaging everyone in the contact list before the owner regains access. A teacher in Minnesota lost rent money after her sister's hacked account begged for help with a fabricated car accident, complete with a photoshopped insurance claim. Spotting these fakes requires scrutiny. Check for subtle differences in usernames, like an extra underscore or misplaced capital letter. Look at the account's history. A real profile will have years of activity, not just reposted memes. Verify emergencies with a phone call or a separate messaging app, and never send money without confirming the story through another channel. Social media platforms are fighting back with verification badges and impersonation reporting tools, but scammers adapt fast. They'll hack a friend's account to vouch for the fake profile or use AI voice cloning in follow-up calls. The best defense is old-school skepticism. Love might be unconditional, but your wallet shouldn't be. If someone you care about is truly in trouble, they'll understand if you double-check before hitting send. You're browsing a perfectly normal website when suddenly your screen freezes, a blood-red warning flashes, blaring an alarm sound. Critical virus detected. Your banking data is at risk. The message claims your device is infected with 17 malware strains, and a toll-free number demands immediate action. But here's the terrifying truth. That alarm didn't come from your computer. It came from the scammer who just tricked you into believing your device is compromised. This is the fake antivirus scam, a digital boogeyman designed to panic you into downloading malware, or worse, paying hundreds for worthless security software that's actually spyware in disguise. These scams thrive on manufactured chaos. Some pop-ups mimic real Windows or Apple alerts down to the fonts and icons, complete with fake progress bars showing your files being scanned. Others hijack entire browsers with relentless loops, making it impossible to close the tab without triggering more alarms. Once you call the number, tech support walks you through steps that look legitimate, like opening your system's event viewer, and point to harmless log entries as proof of hackers at work. One small business owner in Kansas paid $500 for lifetime antivirus protection, only to discover the program was a remote access tool that stole his accounting passwords. The psychological hook here is primal fear. Scammers know most people don't understand how malware actually behaves, so they weaponize uncertainty. That's why these pop-ups often include countdown timers. Infection will spread in 0200. Or fake legal threats. Your ISP has been notified of illegal activity. One particularly cruel version targeted hospital waiting rooms, flashing fake ransomware alerts on public computers to terrify patients into calling fraudulent support lines. Spotting these scams requires a cool head. Real antivirus software doesn't blast alarms through your browser. It runs silently in the background. Legitimate companies won't cold call or pop up demanding payment via gift cards. And no operating system displays warnings with grammar mistakes like virus detected. You must action now. The dirty secret: many fake antivirus programs are malware delivery vehicles. Some secretly install keyloggers to steal passwords. Others lock files and demand ransom payments. One woman in Oregon downloaded what she thought was antivirus software, only for it to encrypt her family photos until she paid $2,000 in Bitcoin. Protecting yourself is simpler than the scammers want you to think. Never call numbers from pop-up warnings. Close your browser entirely. Use Task Manager if it's frozen. Remember, actual tech support doesn't use high-pressure tactics. And if you're truly worried, restart your device offline and run a scan with trusted software you installed yourself. Because in this game, the only virus you need to fear is the one preying on your panic. The email arrives with the kind of excitement that makes your heart race. Someone wants to buy the vintage guitar you listed online, and they're offering more than your asking price. All they ask is that you cash their check, keep the extra as a thank you, and wire back the difference to cover their shipping agent. It feels like a windfall until the bank calls 2 weeks later to say the check was counterfeit, and you're on the hook for every penny you sent. Welcome to the overpayment scam, where fake generosity bleeds victims dry with a single bounce. This con works like a financial boomerang. Scammers target sellers on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, or even freelance job boards. They'll overpay with a fake check, money order, or even a forged bank transfer screenshot, then invent a reason they need part of it back: urgent surgery, a shipping miscalculation, or an assistant's accounting error. One artist in Nashville lost $3,000 after selling a painting for $500. The buyer sent a check for $3,500, claiming it was meant for another purchase, and begged her to refund the difference. The check cleared initially, or so it seemed, but banks can take weeks to discover fraud, leaving victims liable for the full amount. Here's the cruel twist: these scams often prey on kindness. They'll flatter victims, "Your craftsmanship is worth so much more," or feign desperation, "My daughter's birthday is tomorrow." Some pose as churches or nonprofits to seem trustworthy. A contractor in Colorado was wiped out after donating his overpayment back to a fake youth charity, only to learn the original check was stolen from a real business. Others target freelancers with fake client overpayments, exploiting their fear of losing work. The red flags: any buyer refusing to use secure payment methods like PayPal goods and services is suspect. Real clients don't overpay accidentally, and if they did, they'd wait for the mistake to resolve before demanding refunds. Banks don't clear checks instantly, they merely front the money while verifying it. And no legitimate transaction requires wiring funds to a third-party agent in another country. What makes this scam so devastating is the legal fallout. Unlike credit card fraud, victims have little recourse. Banks treat bounced checks as the sender's responsibility. One teacher in Ohio drained her savings repaying a fake $2,000 overpayment from a textbook buyer, then faced overdraft fees when the check was reversed. The psychological toll cuts deeper. Many victims blame themselves for not spotting the ruse, even though these schemes are designed to bypass logic with urgency and flattery. Protect yourself with one ironclad rule: never refund money from a payment you didn't initiate yourself. Wait for checks to fully clear, not just appear in your account, and insist on secure, traceable payment methods. Because in the overpayment scam, the only thing that's truly inflated is the lie. The job posting looks completely legitimate. Help retail chains improve customer service by secretly evaluating stores and getting paid for your feedback. They call you within hours of applying, congratulating you on becoming a certified mystery shopper with a $500 weekly salary, your first assignment. Test a money transfer service by wiring funds to an agency partner, then rate the experience, except there is no agency and that money you just sent. It's gone forever. This is the mystery shopper scam, where fake employment offers turn victims into unwitting money mules while emptying their bank accounts. These fraudsters mimic real mystery shopping companies down to professional-looking websites and forged certifications. They'll send official-looking contracts with logos stolen from legitimate firms, even providing fake training materials. The hook: you're not just getting paid to shop, you're evaluating financial services by wiring money or buying gift cards, then submitting reports on the transaction speed. One college student in Texas lost $2,000 after being told her secret shopper bonus depended on completing wire transfers to 3 different test recipients. Another victim in Illinois maxed out credit cards buying Walmart gift cards to rate the checkout process, only to realize the cards were instantly drained by scammers overseas. The psychological trap here is layered. First, they exploit the allure of easy income who wouldn't want paid to shop. Then they dangle legitimacy with fake paycheck stubs or even mail counterfeit certified checks to reimburse initial expenses. By the time victims realize the checks bounce, they've already wired their own money. One particularly cruel twist targets stay-at-home parents with promises of flexible work. A mother of 3 in Georgia liquidated her savings after being told her performance bonus required testing $5,000 in MoneyGram transactions. Red flags scream from every angle. Legitimate mystery shopping companies never ask you to spend personal funds upfront. They provide prepaid cards or direct reimbursements. Real evaluations focus on customer service, not financial transactions, and no credible firm recruits via text or demands secrecy. Yet victims keep falling for it because the scam plays on 2 powerful emotions: the desire for meaningful work and the fear of missing out on a rare opportunity. Authorities struggle to shut these operations down since recruiters use burner phones and offshore accounts, but awareness is spreading. The Federal Trade Commission now lists fake mystery shopper jobs among its top employment scams, and industry groups like the Mystery Shopping Providers Association publish verification tools. The lesson: when a job offer includes wiring money as part of training, you're not the shopper, you're the one being bought. You're scrolling through an adult services website when you spot an alluring profile, gorgeous photos, glowing reviews, and rates that seem surprisingly affordable. You message them and the response is instant: "I'd love to meet, but I require a small deposit to secure the booking." It sounds reasonable, so you send $50 via Cash App. Then they ask for another $100 for safety insurance, then $200 more for a verified driver. By the time you realize you've been talking to a scammer the whole time, they've blocked you, and your hopes for a steamy evening vanish along with your cash. This is the fake escort scam, a ruthless scheme that exploits loneliness and desire. Scammers create elaborate online personas, often using stolen photos from models or influencers. Some go as far as building fake review websites or scripting entire conversations to seem legitimate. They'll quote shockingly low rates to lure targets in, then pile on last-minute fees like discretion deposits or hotel prepayment. One man in Las Vegas wired over $1,000 to a profile that had copied a local entertainer's Instagram photos down to the same bikini shots. Another victim in New York paid $700 in Bitcoin for a no-show refund guarantee that never materialized. The psychology here is brutal. Victims are often too embarrassed to report the fraud, letting scammers operate with impunity. Some criminals even impersonate law enforcement, threatening to expose the interaction unless more money is sent. A particularly twisted variation involves fake escort agencies that demand membership fees upfront, only to ghost clients after payment clears. One retiree in Miami lost $8,000 over 6 months to a fake high-end companionship service that kept promising introductions to elite clients, all while stringing him along with fabricated profiles and staged testimonials. Spotting these scams requires street smarts. Real escorts rarely ask for deposits exceeding 10 to 20%, and they certainly don't demand payment via untraceable methods like gift cards or cryptocurrency. If a profile's photos seem too polished, reverse image search them. Many scammers lazily grab images from adult performers' Twitter or OnlyFans accounts. And that driver fee or agency verification charge, pure fiction. Legitimate providers meet clients with clear, upfront pricing, not a never-ending checklist of surprise costs. What makes this scam especially vile is how it weaponizes vulnerability. Many targets aren't just out money, they're left feeling humiliated, which silences them from seeking help. But here's the truth. There's no shame in being deceived by professionals who do this for a living. The real shame belongs to the scammers who turn human connection into a predatory transaction. So next time an online encounter feels a little too transactional or a little too good to be true, trust your gut, because in this game, the only thing getting taken is your wallet. You're planning the dream getaway, a beachfront villa with panoramic ocean views, listed for half the price of nearby hotels. The owner responds within minutes, thrilled you're interested, and promises the keys once you Venmo the deposit. It seems like the perfect deal until you arrive and discover the address doesn't exist. The photos were stolen from a travel blog, and your host has ghosted you. This is the fake vacation rental scam, where con artists turn wanderlust into financial ruin by peddling phantom properties to eager travelers. These scams flourish on Airbnb and even Facebook travel groups. Fraudsters steal photos from legitimate listings or stock image sites, then post them under fake profiles with too good to be true rates. They'll invent urgent reasons to bypass platform safeguards, claiming the property is about to be booked or offering a private discount if you pay directly via Zelle or PayPal friends and family. One family from Chicago lost $4,000 on a Disney-adjacent condo that turned out to be a staged photo shoot from a realtor's website. Another couple flew to Hawaii only to find their luxury beach house was a vacant lot, and the owner had already blocked their number. The psychological play here is masterful. Scammers exploit the excitement of planning a trip, pressuring victims to act before they scrutinize details. They'll send fabricated lease agreements with copied signatures or fake ID scans to appear legitimate. Some even impersonate real property managers by spoofing email domains or creating lookalike websites. A particularly cruel variation targets destination weddings, where urgency overrides caution. One bride in California wired $8,000 for a private vineyard venue that existed only in Photoshop. Spotting these scams requires eagle-eyed skepticism. Reverse image search the listing photos to uncover duplicates on other sites. Verify the property's address through Google Maps Street View. Does the house match the images? Legitimate owners will never pressure you to pay outside official platforms or demand secrecy about exclusive deals. And if the host refuses video calls or in-person walkthroughs, assume it's fiction. What makes this scam especially devastating is the collateral damage. Victims aren't just out money, they're stranded in unfamiliar cities with nowhere to stay. One group of college students arriving in Miami for spring break slept at a bus station after their Ocean Drive penthouse reservation evaporated. The emotional toll runs deep, too. Many victims describe feeling violated, as if their trust in humanity was hacked along with their savings. Platforms are fighting back with verification badges and AI that flags duplicate images, but scammers adapt daily. The ultimate defense, treating unbelievable deals with the suspicion they deserve. Because in the vacation rental scam, the only thing you'll end up exploring is the depths of human deceit. The phone rings and the caller ID flashes something official sounding, maybe Federal Grants Bureau or U.S. Financial Assistance. A cheerful voice congratulates you. You've been selected for a $10,000 government grant to help with bills, home repairs, or even starting a business. There's just one small step, a $200 processing fee to release the funds. You hesitate, but they reassure you it's standard procedure and the money will arrive in 3 business days. Except it never does. The caller vanishes and you're left poorer than before. This is the fake government grant scam, where fraudsters dress up theft in bureaucratic legitimacy, preying on the very people who can least afford to lose cash. These cons thrive on manufactured credibility. Scammers spoof official-looking phone numbers or create fake websites mimicking real gov domains, complete with stolen seals from agencies like HUD or the Treasury Department. Some send personalized award letters with forged signatures, while others claim you've been pre-approved due to your tax history or credit score. The hook: urgency. Callers insist the grant is time-sensitive or that funds are running out, pressuring victims to wire money or buy prepaid Visa cards to secure their share. One single mother in Detroit drained her savings after being told her COVID relief grant would expire unless she paid a $400 verification fee within hours. A retiree in Arizona lost $3,000 in a single afternoon, convinced he was locking in a veterans housing grant that didn't exist. What makes this scam especially cruel is its targeting. Fraudsters often focus on low-income communities, immigrants, or seniors, people who may genuinely need assistance and trust government programs. They'll drop phrases like "no repayment required" or "Biden-approved relief" to sound legitimate. Some even provide fake grant numbers or direct victims to actual federal websites, telling them to check the listing while omitting the fine print that real grants never charge fees. The red flags couldn't be clearer once you know them. The U.S. government doesn't cold call citizens about grants. Legitimate programs don't demand payment via gift cards or Bitcoin. And no application process involves sharing your social security number with a random caller. Yet victims keep falling for it because the scam exploits 2 powerful forces: desperation and the illusion of authority. Law enforcement battles these operations daily, but many run from overseas call centers using untraceable VoIP numbers. The FTC warns that fake grant scams spike during crises, natural disasters, pandemics, or economic downturns, when people are most vulnerable. The takeaway: free money isn't free, and real help doesn't come with a price tag. If someone asks for cash to give you cash, they're not the government, they're a con artist in a paper-thin disguise. You receive an email from a potential client. Maybe they've hired you for freelance work, bought something you're selling online, or claim to be sending an overpayment by mistake. Attached is a check for thousands more than agreed upon. Their instructions seem simple: deposit it, keep your cut, and wire back the rest. But days later, your bank calls. The check was fake, the funds never existed, and you're legally responsible for every dollar you sent. This is the fake check cashing scam, a financial trap that turns victims into unwitting money launderers while leaving their accounts drained. These scammers are masters of plausible excuses. Some pose as employers, accidentally sending a duplicate paycheck. Others pretend to be buyers overpaying for goods, claiming it's easier than canceling and reissuing payment. One particularly brazen version targets artists and freelancers. A client sends a $5,000 check for a $500 project, then urgently requests the difference be wired to their assistant overseas. A graphic designer in Oregon lost $4,000 this way, only to learn the check was a forgery traced to a stolen business account. The scam relies on a critical loophole in banking systems. When you deposit a check, banks often release funds within days, but it can take weeks for them to verify its authenticity. Scammers exploit this delay, pressuring you to send money before the check bounces. By then, the wired funds are untraceable and you're left holding the bag. One college student in Florida thought she'd landed a dream remote job until her employer's $3,500 check for office supplies turned out to be counterfeit, leaving her owing her bank every penny she'd forwarded to a vendor. Red flags scream from every angle. Real businesses don't overpay by thousands and beg for refunds via wire transfer. No legitimate employer requires you to cash checks for equipment purchases. And that sense of urgency, you must wire it today or the deal's off, is always a scammer's tell. Yet these cons keep working because they prey on trust and hope. Who wouldn't believe a client made an honest mistake? Who wouldn't want to expedite payment for a great opportunity? The financial and emotional fallout is crushing. Victims aren't just liable for the wired amount, they face overdraft fees, damaged credit, and even account closures. Banks rarely forgive these losses since depositing a check implies you vouched for its legitimacy. One small bakery owner in Texas nearly went bankrupt after falling for a fake catering contract, depositing a $12,000 check and wiring $9,000 as a refund before realizing the whole deal was fiction. Protect yourself with one non-negotiable rule: never send money based on unverified funds. If a check is suspicious, wait for your bank to fully clear it, no exceptions. Real payments don't require you to act as a middleman, and legitimate businesses won't panic if you insist on waiting. Because in the fake check scam, the only thing bouncing harder than the check is your trust in humanity. You finally matched with someone promising gorgeous photos, shared interests, and messages that make your heart skip a beat. Then comes the gut punch. Before you can meet or even video chat, they insist you pay a fee to verify your identity through a third-party site. It sounds reasonable after all, safety first, right? But the moment you enter your credit card details, the match disappears, the site vanishes, and you're left with a drained bank account and a harsh lesson in modern heartbreak. This is the online dating verification scam, where fraudsters weaponize loneliness and the very real fear of catfishing to line their pockets with cash. The scheme plays out like a cruel paradox. Scammers create irresistible profiles on Tinder, Bumble, or niche dating apps, often using stolen photos of models or military personnel. They'll spend weeks building emotional intimacy, sending good morning texts, sharing fabricated life stories, even faking voice notes with AI tools. Then comes the catch. They claim their agency or dating platform requires verified members to prevent fraud. Some direct victims to professional-looking but fake third-party verification sites demanding payments ranging from $20 to $500. Others insist on safety deposits refundable after the first date, a date that never happens. One divorced father in Seattle lost $3,000 to a single mom's exclusive dating club that kept inventing new verification tiers, from background check clearance to premium messaging certification. What makes this scam especially vile is how it preys on genuine concerns. In an era where romance scams cost Americans billions annually, the idea of verification feels logical. Fraudsters exploit this by mimicking real dating safety tips, some even link to articles about avoiding catfishing while running the con themselves. They'll gaslight hesitant victims. If you really cared about me, you'd take safety seriously. A widow in Florida maxed out her credit card on identity tokens for a man who claimed to be a widowed doctor, only to discover his hospital photos were stolen from a LinkedIn profile. The red flags: legitimate dating apps never ask for verification fees off-platform. Real people don't demand money to prove you're trustworthy, they meet for coffee. And no credible service requires payment via gift cards or cryptocurrency. Yet these scams thrive because they target vulnerability at its core, the hope that someone out there could truly see and choose you. Law enforcement struggles to track these schemes since scammers operate through VPNs and disposable emails, but awareness is spreading. Major dating apps now warn users about verification fees in their safety guidelines, and some even flag messages containing payment requests. The ultimate defense: remembering that love shouldn't come with a subscription fee, and anyone who treats your heart like a paywall isn't worth swiping right on in the first place. A tweet from Elon Musk pops up on your feed, except it's not actually from him. It's a near-perfect fake, complete with his profile picture and a blue checkmark, urging followers to act fast on a limited-time crypto giveaway. The caption reads, "Send 1 ETH to this address and I'll send back 1 ETH as a thank you." Thousands fall for it. Within hours, the scammer's wallet is overflowing with digital currency and the fake account vanishes like smoke. This is the fake celebrity endorsement scam, where AI and social engineering merge to turn fame into fraud. These scams have evolved far beyond clumsy Photoshop jobs. Criminals now use deepfake videos of stars like Mr. Beast or Oprah endorsing fake investment platforms, their lips syncing perfectly to scripted lies. Some create entire fake news segments with cloned CNN or Forbes logos, featuring AI-generated voices of financial experts praising a revolutionary trading app. One particularly brazen scheme used a deepfake of Warren Buffett to promote a Ponzi scheme, complete with fabricated quotes about the opportunity of a lifetime. The fake video aired on a spoofed CNBC YouTube channel, tricking investors into pouring millions into a phantom cryptocurrency. The psychology behind this scam is terrifyingly effective. People trust familiar faces, especially when they appear on platforms they associate with credibility. Scammers exploit that trust by mimicking the visual and verbal cues we've been trained to accept as real, verified badges, network watermarks, even the cadence of a celebrity's speech. A retired teacher in Wisconsin mortgaged her home after seeing a fake Facebook livestream of Taylor Swift, personally guaranteeing triple returns on a gold investment scam. The video showed Swift's face seamlessly grafted onto a body double, her voice cloned from interview footage. Spotting these fakes requires forensic-level scrutiny. Check for subtle glitches in AI videos, unnatural blinks, mismatched shadows, or too perfect lip movements. Verify endorsement claims by visiting the celebrity's official website or social media, not just trusting a random post. And remember, no billionaire is giving away money in exchange for small deposits. Elon Musk isn't DMing you crypto tips, and Kim Kardashian isn't personally selecting winners for a secret Cash App lottery. The fallout isn't just financial, it erodes trust in digital media itself. As AI tools become more accessible, these scams are evolving faster than platforms can police them. Lawmakers are scrambling to regulate deepfakes, but for now, the best defense is old-fashioned skepticism. When a famous face promises impossible riches, ask yourself, why would they need your $50 when they could buy a private island with pocket change? The only star power here belongs to the scammers shining bright enough to blind you to the truth. The email hits your inbox with a subject line screaming, "Turn $100 into 10,000 guaranteed." Inside, a slick sales page promises to teach you the secrets of day trading, dropshipping, or some other get-rich-quick scheme if you just sign up for their exclusive online course. The testimonials glow with stories of ordinary people buying mansions and Lamborghinis. There's even a countdown timer threatening to close enrollment in 10 minutes unless you act now. But here's the harsh truth. That course is about as valuable as a PDF of fortune cookie predictions. This is the fake online course scam, where charlatans repackage recycled nonsense into $1,000 masterclasses that leave victims poorer and no wiser. These scams flourish in the murky world of self-proclaimed gurus who have mastered the art of selling dreams instead of skills. They'll flood YouTube and Instagram with fake lifestyle porn, private jets, stacks of cash, luxury watches, all while claiming their proprietary system made it possible. The course itself is often a patchwork of stolen content, plagiarized ebooks, and vague motivational platitudes dressed up as strategy. One investigation found a $600 e-commerce empire course that consisted entirely of public Shopify tutorials copied from YouTube, narrated by a text-to-speech bot. Another real estate investing guru was exposed for faking his own success. The properties he bragged about owning were actually Airbnb rentals he'd staged for photos. The psychological hooks here are meticulously crafted. Scammers exploit the fear of missing out with artificial scarcity. Only 5 spots left at this price. They'll dangle fake social proof, using Photoshop to place their face on Forbes covers or paying actors to record glowing testimonials. Some even create entire fake student communities on private Discord servers, where bots and shills post fabricated wins to keep victims motivated. A nurse in Tennessee maxed out her credit cards on a $7,000 medical billing business course, only to discover the certification it offered was worthless, and the promised client leads were just a scraped list of doctors' offices from Google Maps. What makes this scam especially insidious is how it weaponizes hope. Unlike outright theft, victims often blame themselves when the course fails to deliver, thinking they just didn't work hard enough. The gurus double down on this, accusing dissatisfied students of lacking discipline or vision. One aspiring freelancer spent months trying to apply a 6-figure copywriting course's advice before realizing the templates were copied from a $15 Udemy class. By then, the 30-day money-back guarantee had conveniently expired. Spotting these scams requires ruthless skepticism. Legitimate educators don't pressure you with countdown timers or guilt-trip you for not investing in yourself. Real courses offer free previews or syllabi, not just hype videos full of rented sports cars, and no genuine expert needs to fake their credentials. If they can't point to verifiable success outside selling courses about success, they're just a snake oil salesperson with a slick website. The fallout goes beyond wasted money. Victims report feeling duped and demoralized, their trust in online education shattered. But here's the silver lining: real skills aren't sold in midnight webinar panic pitches. They're built through trial, error, and time, not a credit card payment and empty promises. So next time a guru guarantees overnight riches, remember, the only person getting rich is the one selling you the dream. The ad pops up with irresistible allure. Try this revolutionary skin cream or elite streaming service for free for 30 days. No upfront cost, no commitment, just click to start your trial. Sounds harmless enough, right? But hidden in the fine print is a devious trap. The moment you enter your payment details, you've unwittingly signed up for a recurring subscription that's nearly impossible to cancel. Welcome to the fake free trial scam, where risk-free offers become financial quicks and draining victims' accounts month after month with autopay charges they never authorized. These scams thrive on psychological sleight of hand. Companies design their sign-up pages to highlight the word free in bold while burying the subscription terms in microscopic text or pre-checked boxes that automatically enroll you in a $100 a month VIP membership after the trial ends. Some even require you to call a customer service line that's perpetually busy or demand you mail a written cancellation request to a P.O. box that never receives it. One woman in Minnesota was charged $200 for a free meal kit trial she thought she'd canceled, only to discover the company had locked her into a 12-month contract by default. A college student in California lost $400 to a fitness app that continued billing him for a premium platinum plan, long after he deleted the app with no option to cancel online. The tactics are as varied as they are ruthless. Some trials demand credit card info for shipping fees on free samples, then quietly convert into subscription services. Others use ambiguous terms like cancel anytime while setting hidden deadlines. Miss the 3-day window to opt out and you're locked in for a year. A particularly vile variation targets parents. Educational apps offer free trials for kids' games, then start charging $90 a month unless parents navigate a labyrinthine cancellation process. One grandmother in Florida only noticed the charges when her bank account was overdrawn 8 months after her grandson tested a math game for 10 minutes. What makes this scam so insidious is its veneer of legitimacy. Unlike outright fraud, these companies often provide the product or service initially, making victims reluctant to dispute charges. Banks frequently side with merchants, claiming you agreed to the terms. And because the charges are small at first, usually $20 to $50, many people don't notice until they've been bled dry over months. One entrepreneur in New York spent hours on hold trying to cancel a free business tools trial, only to realize the company had charged her $1,200 across 3 different credit cards. Spotting these traps requires forensic-level attention. Always check for pre-checked boxes before submitting payment info. Search the company name plus scam or subscription trap to uncover horror stories. And never use debit cards for trials. Credit cards offer better fraud protection. Most importantly, assume every free offer is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Because in this game, the only thing you're trialing is how quickly a company can turn your trust into their recurring revenue. The letter arrives with all the solemnity of a legal document: thick parchment paper, embossed letterhead, even a wax seal. It claims you're the long-lost heir to a multi-million-dollar estate from a relative you've never heard of. There's just one catch. Before you can claim your windfall, you'll need to wire $20,000 to cover inheritance taxes or legal processing fees. Your pulse races at the thought of generational wealth, but slow down. That letter isn't from a lawyer, it's from a scammer running one of the oldest cons in the book, the fake inheritance scam. This scheme preys on 2 powerful human instincts: greed and the desire for belonging. Fraudsters often spend months researching family trees, obituaries, or public records to make their claims seem plausible. They'll name-drop obscure relatives, reference legitimate-sounding law firms, even forge probate court documents. One retired teacher in Virginia was convinced she'd inherited a cotton plantation from a great-uncle in Alabama, until she'd wired $50,000 in estate fees to a Bahamas bank account. The plantation existed, but the deceased owner had no living heirs. The scammers had simply copied details from a historical society's website. The psychological trap snaps shut with escalating demands. After the initial tax payment, new fees magically appear: sudden bond posting requirements, overseas account transfer charges, or even DNA verification costs. Victims often hemorrhage cash for months, convinced each payment is the final hurdle. A particularly cruel variation targets immigrants, claiming funds are being held in their home country, complete with fake embassy letterheads. One Nigerian-American family lost their life savings, over $120,000, to fraudsters posing as Lagos probate attorneys who demanded payments in Bitcoin. Red flags glow brighter than a courtroom evidence projector. Legitimate inheritances don't require upfront payments. Taxes and fees are deducted from the estate itself. Real probate attorneys communicate through verifiable channels, not Gmail addresses like smithlegaltrust@yahoo.com. And no authentic legal document would pressure you with phrases like "act now" or "the estate defaults to the government." Yet these scams persist because they exploit our deepest fantasies: the idea that we're special, that fate owes us something, that wealth could fall into our laps if we just play along. The emotional fallout is brutal. Beyond financial ruin, victims grapple with the crushing realization that their long-lost family was fiction. One widow in Michigan suffered a stroke after learning the cousin she'd bonded with for months over shared ancestry photos was a Ghanaian scammer using voice-changing software. That's the true cruelty of this con. It doesn't just steal money, it steals the narrative of who we are and where we come from. Protect yourself with cold, hard facts. Inheritances don't appear out of thin air. You'd know if you had wealthy relatives. Cross-check any claim against official death certificates and court records. And remember, when someone asks for money to give you money, the only thing you're inheriting is a lesson in human deceit. You've finally found your dream apartment across the country, and now all that's left is the move. You Google affordable movers, and a company pops up with glowing reviews, 5 stars across the board, offering a cross-country move for half the price of competitors. They show up on time, load your life into their truck, and hand you a contract with a final price. But halfway through the trip, your phone rings. The voice on the other end is cold and demanding. Your new total is $5,000 more than quoted. Pay now or we auction your furniture in 48 hours. Suddenly, you realize you're not dealing with professionals. You're trapped in the fake moving company scam, where your belongings become leverage in a financial shakedown. These scams start with irresistible bait, quotes suspiciously lower than market rates. Fraudulent movers often operate under multiple aliases, rebranding every few months to dodge bad reviews. They'll quote prices based on estimated weight, only to later claim your belongings were heavier than declared, sometimes doubling or tripling the initial quote. Some even use counterfeit scales to inflate numbers. One family in Texas was slapped with an $8,000 upcharge after their movers discovered an extra 2,000 pounds of weight despite having inventoried every item beforehand. Another victim in New York arrived at her new home to find the truck empty. The movers had stored her possessions in a warehouse, demanding an additional $4,000 for storage fees before releasing them. The psychological play here is brutal. These criminals exploit the chaos of relocation when people are emotionally drained, financially stretched, and desperate to settle into their new space. They'll weaponize sentimentality, refusing to release family heirlooms or children's belongings unless paid in cash or wire transfers. Some even forge liens on household goods, claiming legal rights to hold items until outstanding balances are settled. A widow in Florida spent weeks sleeping on the floor after movers held her furniture hostage, demanding payment via untraceable gift cards. By the time she caved, the company had vanished, leaving her with half her possessions damaged or missing. Spotting these scams requires vigilance. Legitimate movers provide binding estimates in writing, not vague verbal quotes. They're registered with the Department of Transportation and have physical offices, not just a flashy website with stock photos of trucks. Always check the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's database to verify licensure, and never sign blank or incomplete contracts. Fraudulent movers often add hidden fees after the fact by altering paperwork. What makes this con especially vile is the emotional devastation. Victims aren't just out money, they lose irreplaceable items like wedding albums or inherited antiques. One couple in Chicago never recovered their late son's belongings after movers lost their boxes post-shakedown. The trauma lingers long after the financial sting fades. Authorities are cracking down, with states like California implementing stiffer penalties for moving fraud. But until the industry is fully regulated, your best defense is skepticism. If a quote seems too good to be true, it's not a bargain, it's a bait and switch waiting to happen. Because in the fake moving scam, the only thing getting relocated is your money straight into a criminal's pocket. You're searching online for a better price on your prescription medication, and there it is, a website offering the exact same pills at half the cost, no doctor's note required. The site looks professional with FDA logos and glowing testimonials, but what arrives in the mail isn't life-saving medicine. It's sugar pills, dangerous counterfeits, or worse, nothing at all. Welcome to the fake online pharmacy scam, where bargain hunting for health can turn deadly. These shadowy operations flourish in the gaps of legitimate healthcare systems. Some mimic real pharmacies with near-identical web designs, even hijacking National Association of Boards of Pharmacy verification seals. Others advertise on social media with too-good-to-be-true deals, like 90% off insulin or miracle weight loss drugs. One investigation found fake pharmacies selling Adderall pills that were actually methamphetamine mixed with fentanyl. A diabetic man in Ohio nearly died after injecting counterfeit insulin that contained 0 active ingredients. His blood sugar levels spiked dangerously because what he thought was a steal turned out to be nothing but saline solution in a forged package. The psychology here is devastatingly effective. Scammers exploit two universal fears: the crushing cost of healthcare and the stigma around certain medications. They target people too embarrassed to visit a doctor for erectile dysfunction drugs, chronic pain patients abandoned by opioid crackdowns, or cancer victims desperate for affordable treatments. One breast cancer survivor in Florida maxed out her credit cards on black market tamoxifen that turned out to be chalk, only realizing the scam when her tumors returned. Spotting these traps requires medical-grade skepticism. Legitimate pharmacies always require valid prescriptions and display VIPS certification from the NAP. Watch for red flags like prices drastically below market rates or sites that dispense controlled substances without questionnaires. That Canadian pharmacy offering Xanax without a script. It's likely operating from a warehouse in Eastern Europe or Southeast Asia, routing payments through shell companies. The consequences extend far beyond lost money. Counterfeit medications have contained everything from heavy metals to floor wax. Some fake antibiotics have led to antibiotic-resistant superbugs. Others contain no active ingredients at all, allowing diseases to progress unchecked. And because these operations constantly rebrand, tracking them is like playing whack-aim, all with human lives. Protecting yourself starts with one unshakable rule: if a pharmacy bypasses healthcare safeguards for convenience or cost, it's not cutting corners. It's cutting throats. Your health isn't a Black Friday deal, it's the one thing you should never gamble on the dark web's dice roll. Imagine getting a call from someone claiming they can erase your bad credit history, late payments, bankruptcies, even foreclosures, all for a modest upfront fee. They sound confident, rattling off legal-sounding terms like credit sweeps and trade line deletions, promising to boost your score by 200 points in 30 days. It's exactly what you've been desperate to hear, but here's the devastating truth: that caller isn't a financial savior. They're a con artist running one of the most predatory scams in America, the fake credit repair scam, where hope for a fresh financial start gets swapped for drained bank accounts and shattered trust. This scheme preys on one of life's most stressful realities: bad credit. Scammers target people drowning in debt or recovering from financial crises, offering guaranteed fixes that sound too good to ignore. Some pose as former credit bureau insiders with secret loopholes, while others create slick websites mimicking legitimate credit counseling services. Their tactics are textbook deception. They'll demand hefty fees upfront, often thousands, then either ghost clients entirely or submit bogus disputes to credit agencies that get rejected within weeks. One single mother in Nevada paid $4,000 to a company claiming they could remove her medical debts, only to discover they'd simply printed her credit report and done nothing while her score plummeted further from the frivolous disputes. The psychology here is brutally effective. Credit reports feel like inscrutable, unchangeable verdicts on our worthiness, and scammers exploit that helplessness. They'll point to legitimate credit repair laws like the Fair Credit Reporting Act, then twist them into false promises. We'll force the bureaus to delete negative items. They insist, knowing full well that accurate, verifiable information can't legally be removed. A retired construction worker in Arizona lost his entire savings, $8,000, to a scammer who swore he had a special arrangement with Equifax to erase his late mortgage payments. In reality, the only thing erased was the scammer's voicemail box after the money cleared. Spotting these frauds requires cold-eyed skepticism. Legitimate credit counseling agencies are non-profit and won't promise specific score increases. Real fixes take time. No one can legally remove accurate negative items overnight. And that "pay us before we do anything" clause, a glaring red flag. The Federal Trade Commission explicitly warns that demanding payment before services are rendered is illegal under the Credit Repair Organizations Act, yet shady operators flout this daily. What makes this scam especially vile is the double betrayal. Victims aren't just out money, they're often left with worse credit than before. Frivolous disputes can trigger audits or even fraud alerts, compounding the damage. One small business owner in Georgia filed for bankruptcy after a fake repair company's reckless disputes led creditors to slash her limits and hike her rates. The emotional toll runs deep. Too many victims describe feeling ashamed for falling for pitches that preyed on their desperation. Protecting yourself starts with one unshakable rule: no one can legally remove accurate negative items from your credit report. Period. Improving credit requires patience, paying bills on time, reducing debt, not magical debt validation letters that scammers copy-paste from online templates. If a company's sales pitch involves phrases like "credit secrets they don't want you to know," run. Your financial future isn't a quick fix, it's a marathon, and the only finish line scammers care about is the one where your money crosses into their pockets. You've spent months planning the perfect vacation, and finally, you find it a stunning beachfront villa on Airbnb with a 5-star rating and a price that's almost too good to be true. The host responds instantly, excited to welcome you, and sends a link to book directly through a special deal to avoid Airbnb's fees. You wire the deposit, excited to save a little cash, only to arrive and find out the property was never listed for rent at all. The photos were stolen, the reviews were fake, and your dream getaway just turned into a financial nightmare. This is the fake Airbnb host scam, where criminals exploit wanderlust and trust to turn vacations into vanishing acts. These scammers operate with chilling precision. Some hack into legitimate host accounts, changing contact details to reroute payments to themselves. Others create entirely fake listings using photos scraped from real estate sites, luxury home blogs, or even other Airbnb posts, sometimes lifting entire property descriptions word for word. The most brazen will even impersonate the actual homeowner, going so far as to forge rental agreements or fake ID copies to appear legitimate. One family from Boston arrived at their rented Costa Rican villa only to be turned away by the real owner, who had no idea her home was being advertised online. The scammer had cloned her property listing down to the family photos on the walls and vanished with their $5,000 payment. The hook is always urgency and exclusivity. Scammers pressure travelers with phrases like, "5 other people are interested, send the deposit now or I'll have to give it to them." They'll dangle discounts for booking off platform, claiming it saves both parties Airbnb's commission. One couple in Seattle lost $3,000 after a host claimed their property was about to be delisted due to a dispute with Airbnb, urging them to pay via Venmo to secure the dates. The listing disappeared hours later along with their money. What makes this scam so effective is its timing. Travelers are often stressed, juggling flights, itineraries, and excitement, fertile ground for cutting corners. Scammers exploit this by mimicking Airbnb's communication style, sending fake confirmation emails with official-looking logos. Some even provide counterfeit QR codes for self-check-in, leaving victims standing on unfamiliar streets with locked doors and dead-end phone numbers. A bride in California nearly missed her own wedding after the beachfront mansion she'd booked for her guests turned out to be a vacant lot. The photos had been lifted from a luxury rental in the Bahamas. Protecting yourself requires relentless verification. Always book and pay through Airbnb's platform, never wire money or use peer-to-peer apps like Zelle. Reverse image search the listing photos to check for duplicates. Message the host through Airbnb's app, not external email or WhatsApp, and ask specific questions about the property. Scammers often stumble on details like local transit or appliance brands. And if a deal feels rushed or secretive, listen to that gut feeling. The cruelest part, many victims only realize they've been scammed when they're already stranded, forced to find last-minute lodging at double the cost. One father of three recounted standing outside a mountain cabin in Colorado for hours in freezing temperatures, desperately calling a host whose number was already disconnected. That's the true cost of this scam, not just lost money, but stolen memories and the sour aftertaste of broken trust. In the fake Airbnb host scam, the only thing checking out early is your peace of mind. You're scrolling through an online auction site when you spot the deal of a lifetime, a brand new PlayStation 5 for half the retail price, a rare Rolex with authenticity papers, or even a car listed at a fraction of its Blue Book value. The seller has a handful of positive reviews, the photos look professional, and they promise fast shipping. You click Buy Now, wire the payment, and wait. And wait until it hits you. That auction was fake from the start, the photos were stolen from legitimate listings, and the only thing you've won is a harsh lesson in digital deception. This is the fake online auction scam, where the thrill of the bid becomes a one-way ticket to financial heartbreak. Scammers design these traps with surgical precision. They'll lift images and descriptions from real eBay or Craigslist listings, even copying verbiage about mint condition or limited edition to mimic authenticity. Some create entirely fictitious items like fake concert tickets or exclusive collectibles that never existed in the first place. One victim in Ohio paid $3,000 for what he thought was a vintage Gibson guitar, only to receive a cheap knockoff worth less than $200. The original photos had been stolen from a music shop's website, complete with the store's watermark cropped out. Another bidder in Texas wired $8,000 for a lightly used Harley Davidson, spending months waiting for a delivery that never came. When he tracked down the VIN number from the auction photos, he discovered the real motorcycle was still sitting in a dealership in Florida, completely unaware it had been sold online dozens of times. The psychology at play here is devastatingly simple. They exploit our fear of missing out. Limited time auctions with countdown clocks pressure buyers to act before vetting the seller. Too good to be true prices override skepticism, and those 5-star reviews, often fabricated through burner accounts or hacked profiles. Some scammers even hijack legitimate seller accounts with stolen credentials, giving their fake listings a veneer of credibility. One particularly brazen scheme involved a fraudster posing as a grieving widow selling her late husband's rare coin collection, a story designed to deter haggling while tugging heartstrings. The coins didn't exist, but the $20,000 she collected from sympathetic buyers certainly did. Red flags glow like neon signs if you know where to look. Sellers who refuse to meet in person or use secure payment methods should set off alarms. Listings with stock quality photos but no proof of ownership are suspect. And that request to pay via Zelle, Cash App, or wire transfer, a virtual guarantee you'll never see your money or the item again. Legitimate auction platforms offer buyer protection. Scammers avoid them like the plague. The fallout extends beyond lost cash. Victims report a lingering sense of violation, knowing their trust was commodified. Some spend months chasing phantom tracking numbers or pleading with unresponsive customer service emails. One collector in Nevada maxed out his credit card on a fake Banksy print, then spent years rebuilding his credit and his ability to believe in online marketplaces. Protecting yourself starts with militant skepticism. Reverse image search auction photos to uncover duplicates. Insist on escrow services for high-value items. And remember, if a deal feels like destiny, it's probably a scammer's script, because in the fake auction world, the only thing up for bid is your common sense, and the house always wins. You've just lost a loved one and the grief feels unbearable. Then, out of nowhere, a message appears. Your mother's spirit is trying to reach you. She says you're in danger. The psychic's profile is filled with testimonials from clients claiming she predicted deaths, found missing objects, even saved marriages. Desperate for closure, you book a session. But what starts as $100 reading quickly spirals into thousands suddenly. there's a dark curse over your family, and only her exclusive spiritual cleansings can lift it. Congratulations, you've just become another victim of the fake psychic scam, where emotional devastation gets monetized by predators in flowing scarves and crystal balls. These fraudsters are masters of cold reading, a technique where they toss out vague statements and latch onto whatever resonates. I'm sensing someone with a J name, maybe John or James. When you say, "My Uncle Jim passed last year," they pivot instantly. Yes, Jim is here and he wants you to know he's at peace. They'll mine your social media for details or use planted assistants to Google you during breaks. One widow in Pennsylvania paid $25,000 over 6 months to a psychic who claimed her late husband's spirit demanded weekly energy alignments to avoid eternal unrest. The final straw, the psychic channeled instructions to transfer her house deed for spiritual protection. The curse removal racket is where the real money flows. After gaining trust, psychics suddenly see looming catastrophes, a hex from a jealous coworker, ancestral karma, even demonic attachments. The solution: endless cash for rituals. I need $900 in a white envelope to burn at midnight. Or buy these blessed candles from my shop at $200 each. One woman in Florida drained her retirement account after a psychic claimed her daughter's cancer would return unless she paid for a sacred water ceremony, using bottles of grocery store spring water labeled as Himalayan moon-charged elixir. What makes this scam uniquely vile is its prey: grieving parents, the terminally ill, the heartbroken. Psychics exploit milestones like deaths, divorces, or job losses, times when logic crumbles under emotion. They'll isolate victims, warning that negative energy from skeptical loved ones will ruin the readings. One mother searching for her missing son spent $80,000 on psychics who sent her chasing false leads from spirit visions while the real trail went cold. Spotting these cons requires sharp skepticism. Real psychics don't upsell emergencies or demand secrecy. They won't pressure you into debt for cosmic insurance. And that special bond you feel, it's not psychic energy, it's the oldest con in history, telling people exactly what they're desperate to hear. Because in the fake psychic scam, the only spirits at work are the ones of loneliness and loss, and they're being exploited for every last penny. Imagine landing a DM from a verified Instagram influencer with millions of followers. They love your small business and want to feature your product in their next post for a small collaboration fee. The message is polished, their profile looks legit, and their engagement appears strong. You send free samples along with $500, dreaming of the exposure, only to realize weeks later they've blocked you. Your products are nowhere to be seen, and that influencer was just a hired model with a rented blue checkmark. Welcome to the fake influencer scam, where vanity metrics and stolen clout turn small businesses into unwitting sponsors of pure fraud. These scams thrive in the gray area of social media's obsession with influence. Fraudsters create near-flawless impersonations of real creators, lifting photos from their feeds, mimicking their captions, and even fabricating comment sections with bot-generated praise. Some buy dormant accounts with established follower counts, then rebrand them overnight as lifestyle gurus. Others exploit verification loopholes. One investigation found a network of influencers running the same scam under different names, all using the same set of photoshopped media kits and fake engagement analytics. A bakery in Austin sent 2 months' worth of custom cakes to a food blogger with 2 million followers, only to discover the account had purchased fake followers and used stolen content from a real influencer's page. The promised posts never materialized, and the blogger ghosted when confronted. The psychological hook here is brutal: the promise of legitimacy. Small businesses, especially startups, crave social proof. Scammers weaponize this by name-dropping past collabs with real brands or sharing fabricated screenshots of viral posts. They'll flatter victims: your product is exactly what my audience loves. While pressuring them to act fast, my calendar fills up quickly. One candle maker in Vermont lost $3,000 on a sponsored giveaway with a parenting influencer whose entire identity was cribbed from a Canadian mommy blogger's public posts. The scammer had even faked a media partnership with a major parenting magazine by photoshopping a logo onto their profile. Spotting these fakes requires forensic-level scrutiny. Reverse image search profile pictures to uncover duplicates. Check engagement rates. Real influencers have organic comments, not just generic emoji strings. Verify partnerships by contacting brands directly through official channels, not DM links provided by the influencer, and never send products or payments without a contract. The dead giveaway, any demand for upfront cash or goods with vague promises of exposure. Legitimate influencers often work on commission or provide measurable deliverables upfront. What makes this scam so insidious is the collateral damage. Beyond financial loss, victims waste months of product development and marketing hopes on ghosts. One eco-friendly clothing label in Oregon nearly collapsed after sending their entire inventory to a sustainability influencer who turned out to be a teenager running scams from their bedroom. The emotional toll lingers. Many small business owners describe feeling foolish for trusting someone who seemed so credible in a 5-second scroll. Platforms are finally cracking down, with Instagram purging fake followers and TikTok flagging suspicious engagement. But the best defense remains old-school due diligence, because in the fake influencer game, the only thing going viral is your disappointment and the scammer's bank balance. At the height of the pandemic, when fear and uncertainty gripped the world, another virus spread silently, not through the air but through emails, texts, and social media posts. Scammers saw global desperation as the ultimate business opportunity, crafting COVID-19 relief schemes so heartless they'd make even the most hardened con artist cringe. From fake vaccine sign-ups to phantom stimulus checks, fraudsters weaponized hope, preying on those just trying to stay afloat during the worst public health crisis in a century. One of the most brazen versions involved impersonating the CDC or WHO, sending phishing emails with subject lines like "Urgent, schedule your vaccine now." These messages directed victims to sleek, counterfeit websites where they'd enter social security numbers, insurance details, and even credit card info to reserve a dose that didn't exist. In California, a retired nurse lost her life savings after wiring $3,000 to a fake priority access list for high-risk seniors. The site copied the CDC's logo down to the font, and the URL was nearly identical, just one letter off. By the time she realized the truth, the money had been funneled through offshore accounts, untraceable. Then there were the fake relief funds. As the government rolled out stimulus payments, scammers blasted texts claiming you needed to verify your eligibility by clicking a link. One particularly ruthless scheme targeted small businesses, offering emergency grants through what appeared to be the Small Business Administration's portal. Owners who submitted applications unknowingly handed over bank login credentials, allowing thieves to drain accounts within hours. A restaurant owner in Chicago lost $30,000, her entire payroll, to a single phishing form that looked like it came straight from the SBA's official website. Personal protective equipment became another goldmine for fraud. With N95 masks in short supply, counterfeit vendors flooded online marketplaces. They'd use stolen photos from legitimate medical suppliers, even forging FDA certifications. One hospital in Texas wired $200,000 for what they thought were bulk PPE shipments, only to receive boxes of defective knockoffs made from materials so flimsy they disintegrated on contact. By the time the shipment arrived, the seller's website had vanished and the money was gone. The cruelest twist, many of these scams targeted the most vulnerable seniors afraid of dying before getting vaccinated, unemployed workers waiting on stimulus checks, overwhelmed healthcare workers desperate for masks. They exploited trust in institutions when people needed them most. A widow in Florida nearly lost her home after falling for a fake mortgage relief program that promised to pause her payments. Instead, it stripped her equity and left her with a second lien she never authorized. Authorities scrambled to respond, with the FTC and FBI issuing warnings about COVID-19 scams almost daily. But the schemes evolved faster than they could track. Some fraudsters even posed as contact tracers, demanding payment for mandatory testing or threatening fines for violating quarantine. Others sold fake home test kits that were nothing more than repackaged saline solution. The lesson here isn't just about spotting scams, it's about recognizing how crisis amplifies both human kindness and human greed. When the world feels like it's falling apart, the line between a lifeline and a trap blurs. And for the criminals who cashed in on fear, the only thing they were immune to was basic decency. From fake psychic curses to AI-generated celebrity endorsements, we've just uncovered 33 of the most bizarre, audacious, and downright surreal scams ever to slither across the internet. Think about it, people have paid for screenshots of clouds, wired money to stranded astronauts, and even bought puppies that didn't exist outside a Photoshop file. The creativity is almost impressive if it weren't so devastating. These schemes don't just steal money, they exploit hope, fear, and even grief, turning human vulnerability into a business model. What's wild is how adaptable these cons are. The same Nigerian prince who haunted your email inbox in the 90s just upgraded to deepfake videos and crypto giveaways. The fake check scam your grandma warned you about now wears the disguise of a remote job offer. And let's not forget the romance scammers who have traded poorly photoshopped military uniforms for AI-generated love letters. The tools change, but the playbook stays the same. Find what people crave: love, security, a bargain, and weaponize it. Yet here's the silver lining. Every outrageous story we've covered is also a masterclass in spotting red flags. That urgent demand for gift cards, the too good to be true job with no interview, the sob story that just happens to require your credit card, they're all variations on a theme. And now that you've seen behind the curtain, you're way less likely to get played. But scams evolve faster than antivirus software, and that's where you come in. Have you or someone you know encountered a scheme we didn't cover? Maybe a pet psychic who demanded payment to communicate with your goldfish, or a timeshare cancellation expert who vanished with your life savings. Drop your stories in the comments, not just to vent, but to armor up the next potential victim. Because the best defense against these predators isn't just skepticism, it's a community sharing warnings in real time. If this deep dive into the dark side of human ingenuity left you equal parts fascinated and horrified, hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started uncovering the wildest corners of the internet, where the scams are stranger than fiction, and the only thing more shocking than the cons is how many people still fall for them. Stay sharp out there. After all, the next once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is already in your inbox, and it's weirder than you can imagine.